Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. Another wonderful episode of Paranormal Brew, and I have a wonderful guest tonight, Eileen Reeser. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, Eileen, who is the owner of a wonderful property in Douglassville, Pennsylvania. Right? It's Douglassville.
Correct.
Todd makes fun of me because I think everything up around that area is Birdsboro. I say everything is Birdsboro, so I have to remember where I'm at times. But Brinton Lodge is in Douglassville, Pennsylvania. They have a brewery attached to it, and I'm gonna not really talk too much about it. I want really Eileen to talk a lot about the house and stuff like that, but. I met Eileen through my friend Todd, who runs Bird Mansion that we always go to. But it's weird because in 2012 or 2013, when I was with South Jersey Ghost Research, I investigated Brinton Lodge. And here I am, how many 10 years later, 12 years later, and I'm there again, and I've been there. I think we've been there two times now.
I think 2 times.
2 times. 2 times. And the place is just amazing, and it's has such a meaty history. Anyway, I want to get into it. I want to talk to Eileen. I want to get into all of it. Eileen.
Yes.
Let's start kind of at the beginning, and then how you acquired the inn, the Brinton Lodge. I keep calling it an inn, but it's Brinton Lodge. You can't sleep there, but it is open for paranormal investigations and tours and stuff like that. And the brewery has got amazing beer. It's so good. Anyway, let's start at the beginning. I want to kind of get into it. Kind of just tell everybody, where you're from, and then, you're also an author, so I would really love for you to talk about your books because they're all ghosty type books and everything. So let's get into it.
Okay. Well, I am from South Jersey.
Are you?
Yeah. And when you worked for South Jersey, were you from South Jersey?
I'm from South Jersey. Yeah, I'm like 15 minutes from Philly. Where
at?
Mount Ephraim, it's called.
Okay, I was from Woodbury.
Oh yeah, so Woodbury is about 20 minutes from me.
Yeah. So anyway, met my husband there, and we were neighbors as kids, and have a long history. But we got into the ghost business. My husband had quit his job with a corporate type job. He hated it, and we're having a rough time. So we were offered this vacant house that was set for demolition in Birdsboro. And we opened a haunted house for Halloween, and there weren't many around at that time, so it was quite popular. We were quite naughty running the things we did there. We would get shut down for sure nowadays. But at that point, the house was actually in Charles Adams' first ghost book that he ever wrote, and he approached us, and so we worked closely with Charles Adams for a time. He helped us out with the stories about the house and the history about the house. And we actually used his material on quite a few of our tours, which we started after the haunted house. We saw that people wanted to hear not just ghost stories, but the history behind the ghosts. My husband being someone who loved history, it just kind of fit. So we started looking at different towns where we might want to do a ghost tour and looking through the history, we doing the research, and that's where we started the books and also the tours in the different locations. Eventually led us to purchasing the lodge.
So how did the lodge though come? Like the lodge, I mean, I think you guys, was it auction?
No, it was actually owned by the bank. It had gone to I guess foreclosure. The bank owned it for 4 years. The business next door was going to tear it down. They had put an offer in. The bank accepted it, but there was first right of refusal, and we made another offer that the folks didn't want to match. So we ended up with the lodge. We weren't quite sure what we were going to do. We were doing different events to try to raise money. The haunted house was the first thing where we did the same type of thing we did in Birdsboro. We weren't real happy with how it was going. And at that point, we realized how historic the building was. So we were really beating it doing these events. And that's when the brewery came along, and it was a good purpose for the building because it's easy on the building.
Yeah,
and then
I love
the tours.
Yeah, like I love the brewery part of it. You know, it closes at what, 8:30, but you guys have like a little patio and an outdoor bar deck area too during the summertime. You know what I mean? So it's a nice little festive little place. I mean, if you're not just going to go there for ghost stuff, you know what I mean? Like for people to go there, they have food trucks, right? You have food trucks that come out. You guys have a kitchen too, but you only it's a limited menu. Yeah.
As far as it's not like a big restaurant type menu. It's very limited, and so they supplement with the food trucks.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the history of the place.
Okay. The earliest part of the house, we're looking at 1711. Thomas Millard was the first property owner there. It was deeded to him by William Penn.
That's so Millard, cool.
Yeah,
it was deeded to him by William Penn.
Millard was brought over from England to build mills in this area, and there was actually it used to be a mill on the property, but he built the first part of the structure back in 1711. Lived there for 100 years. Then the Kirlins purchased it from him. They also lived there 100 years. They expanded the house. And then after the Kirlins, the Helen Brooke Whitman, well, there was another family that owned it for a couple years, but then the Whitmans bought it, and they were the ones who put a lot of money into the house and put the big addition on. That was the turn of the century. It was completed around 1910. But then Caleb came along in Prohibition and bought it and turned it into a gentleman's club. Caleb Brinton, that's the namesake. He did die in the house.
So he died, yeah. He made it a gentleman's club.
Yes. Elizabeth, before it was a brothel, I would say. I mean, maybe it was still a brothel at that time too, but that kind of stuff isn't well documented. We've only had firsthand accounts of that. A lot of local people knew of it as a place where men could go for extracurricular activities.
I just want to point out Todd's watching, and I want Todd to hear that again, that kind of stuff was not documented. So it's, so Bird Mansion might not have any documentation of it, but I still will swear by it. So go ahead.
But it was also a place for high-end clientele. Elizabeth Taylor, Frank Sinatra, Benny Goodman, Eddie Fisher. We do know that they went there between performances to hang out. Who knows what other high-end type of clientele the place had, but it had to be some place in its heyday.
It's funny you say Frank Sinatra, because I've been to a couple places where Mr. Sinatra has like been, and in these places you see, you're like, why would he be here?
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know?
don't know if they performed at Sunnybrook down in Pottstown. A lot of the performers from Sunnybrook would hang out at Caleb's place at the lodge because it was private.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the Sunnybrook was the draw. A lot of the high-end performers would kind of go there in between the Philadelphia and New York performances,
Mm-hmm.
like a low key type of performance.
Right.
But as I said, this is all, we don't have it documented. It's all firsthand accounts that we have this information.
So, I'll start. I'm going to star some of the questions and comments just because I don't want to get sidetracked a little bit, but I will share everybody's stuff, and comments. So 1910, Caleb, am I saying his name right? Caleb, right?
1927.
Oh, 1927. Is that?
That's when Caleb purchased the property.
Okay. And then he had it for how long?
I forget the date when he passed. Once he passed, he deeded it to his companion. He wasn't his wife, but he lived there with another woman. She had it, but then lost it to the banks.
Huh.
And then shortly after that, Cavadas did get the property.
And then Cavadas made it into like a restaurant, right?
Italian restaurant. They were there for 20 years. Very popular place here in Berks County. Yeah, they would seat 300 on a busy night.
300.
Yeah, they use the first and second floor on busy nights. That would be like a holiday, like New Year's Eve, and they'd have private parties, but it was a happening place when Cavadas had it. They had a lot of different issues, but then there was a flood that hit in 2006 that kind of did them in.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So when did they get rid of the property? Or when did they leave?
Or... had it until I think 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you guys got it when?
2013.
So in between, so it had to have been when I was there. I'm trying to think. I mean, in between 2009 and 2013, what was it? Just sitting?
Bank owned. Nobody was there.
So then I had to have been there when you were there.
Possibly. We did, when we first got it, we did a lot of investigations, but I don't remember South Jersey Ghost Research there, though.
There was a man that I was emailing with, and I don't know. I can't remember.
Might have been. It would have been if it was us. It would be my husband. It would have been Tim.
I'm gonna go back in my emails. I'm gonna see if I can see who it was that I spoke with. I remember it was a gentleman that I was emailing with. There was probably, and like I said, when we came, hey Beth, when we came out, that one of the rooms we went into it was like all black walls. I feel like it was.
And we had it. That's because that was when we were doing a haunted house.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the room, the big room that you sit at the bar in the back there. That was that room.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah. And I remember, and I do remember, all the animals, and still the animals and stuff. I remember that on the walls and everywhere. And the front room was the same with the big pillars, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. There's big pillars in there. So there's a lot of meaty history. It was used for so many different things. But the one thing I noticed is just like Bird Mansion and stuff, like these places that hosted a lot of parties and a lot of people coming in and out, and a lot of it's just like the Inn at Lincoln Square in Gettysburg. It was used for so many different social type things. Mm-hmm. Not just a family home, but used for social. I feel like when you're going in there with a paranormal team, they're used to having a lot of, you know what I mean? Like a bunch of people come in, you know what I mean? So I feel like that kind of helps to stir up a little bit of the stuff going on in there, because that's what they're used to.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I think they when they like that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when they see a whole bunch of people coming, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna have a party. That's what we're used to doing with all these people here," you know?
Unless it's the ancestors,
Yeah,
the earlier people who had it as a home, and they're like, "What the heck's going on?"
yeah. So
Um,
so what are some of the claims that come from, uh, Brinton Lodge?
as far as the paranormal,
Yeah, the paranormal stuff.
well, it was first documented. We met another family that owned it right before the Cavadas. They had it a couple years. They were the Shifts. His name was no, not Larry. I forget their first names, but anyway, the Shifts owned it. He opened the restaurant. They were approached by Don Galloway, who was a psychic medium for Scotland Yard, and he came in and did a 2-week paranormal investigation there. He brought over a bunch of men from Scotland Yard, and they stayed there. And evidently, they claimed there were 5 spirits present there. So that's the first documentation of the activity. We did meet with the Shifts once we purchased the property to discuss it with them, you know, what their experiences were and just about the building itself. And they said that they had quite a few experiences before the Mr. Galloway approached them, but they were skeptical. But when he first purchased it, it was to be the house for his wife, and she said she took one step in there and said, "There's no way I'm living in that building." She got eerie feelings right from the get-go.
Mm.
But anyway, Don Galloway said there are these 5 spirits, and it's been pretty consistent through the years. The different owners and employees and patrons, they've all kind of fallen in the same.
Having the same.
Everybody says the same thing, you know, that they see this black shadow, they see a little girl, they see an old woman. So it's I'm convinced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Well,
I
I
mean,
saw one, so I'm convinced.
you what?
I saw one, so I am convinced.
Okay. What did you see?
I saw the black shadow.
You did.
Was there late at night. Right, it was shortly after we purchased the building. It was getting it ready for our first Halloween event. All the windows were blacked out with the haunted house fabric that you use. So there were no lights or shadows or anything coming in from the outside. And the room had one light on. I was approaching the room, so it was backlit, and the thing went between me and the light. It was solid. You couldn't see through it.
Oh,
Very
wow.
tall. Scared the crap out of me. Yeah.
So has any of the claims, like you rattled off a couple, and I know that we have talked about this, you know what I mean? But I'm just asking again for everybody that's watching that's not familiar. But have any of the claims ever been validated with the history? You know, anybody that has come and gone in the house, like I know the shadow is hard to, but the woman or the little girl or anything like that.
The little girl, we really don't have a clue. A lot of mediums have said that she was either pushed or fell down the stairs and passed. She does always appear in the hallway, but we don't know who she could be. Some people feel the old woman could be Elmira Kirlin, who died in the house. The employees of Cavadas always felt that Caleb was the one man who was seen. It could be Dapper Dan, fond of the ladies, but they claimed they used to see him in the kitchen, which is now the back pub, the little back bar that you walk. I don't know that you sat back there before.
The back bar where where Elmira died.
No. That's the middle bar.
Okay.
There's the big bar where you usually sit. There's the middle bar that is kind of the little sitting room with the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
And we call it the pub bar, which is all the way in the back of the house. That used to be the kitchen, and we turned it into a bar area. The Cavadas employees used to say that Caleb would appear back in that room, and he was known to stay back in the kitchen a lot. He used to like to sit back there by there was a little fireplace stove, and he used to sit back in the kitchen area. That we have first-hand accounts on. So it's nice that we were able to talk to some of the people who knew Caleb, who knew the Cavadas. So we get a lot of first-hand accounts that way, which is otherwise so much of this would be gone.
Uh-oh. Oh, there you are. You went out and came back in really quick.
I saw that. You did too.
Oh, really? Are we getting haunted? I'm kidding.
Maybe it's my husband. He's listening in.
Oh, maybe. So really quick, Pete was asking, or Todd, I'm sorry, with his name on Facebook. Todd, he was asking what room was it? I think he's asking what room did you see the shadow? I think that's what he's asking.
Okay, I saw it in the hall leading from the big dining room, which we call the Douglas room. The hallway that leads from that room over to the back bar, the pub bar.
Okay.
So it went across the hall and down into the basement.
Okay. And then Beth is asking, do you know the history of the land?
The land, more than likely, it was Lenape. This whole area was considered Lenape land, based on the fact that they usually settled near freshwater creeks leading to the river. The creek runs right next to the house, and that is either the Mill Creek or the Kirlin Creek. It has two names. I own property down in Monocacy, and our land is a registered Lenape site. We're just opposite of where Monocacy Creek comes into the river, in Monocacy, which is 7 minutes down the road from the lodge.
Standing outside and looking at the property, it's so breathtaking, and it looks so enormous, and it is inside. I don't know if anybody watched my walkthrough. I did a live walkthrough when we were there, and it is literally, I mean, I honestly, we need to have a sleepover because there's so much to investigate, you know what I mean? And so many, different areas to, go in, to do. I mean, yeah, Jossie is saying it's enormous. It's deceiving when you pull up and it looks big from the outside, but then when you go in and it's just like, it just keeps going and going and going.
We have a drone shot of it that it really shows you just how big the building is. Like you can't envision that from looking at it from the side or the front of the house. From the top, it's big. It's a big old house.
It is. I mean, it's honestly, have you ever thought about, and I don't know if you do this, so forgive me, but have you ever thought about like weddings and stuff? Because I mean, it really, you have the room and I mean, the building is so beautiful for pictures and stuff like that. Like, I mean,
before the brewery came along, we had thought about doing that, but the problem with the brewery is the people would have to rent it for what the brewery makes in that day.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's not as classy as what a lot of people would like for weddings, to put that kind of money out for a wedding.
Right.
Because the building is rough.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but some people love that.
We do have a lot of like bridal showers and, corporate gatherings, but they're usually smaller.
Right. So they don't rent it out. They just are kind of using a little piece of it.
Right. They rent out. There's 3 rooms that we rent out, where the brewery rents out.
Beth was asking, have you, hold on, I missed it. I think she said, oh, here it is. Have you ever given an offering to the land?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. And she said she would love to do that with us.
Well, that'd be cool.
Everybody's saying that's been there, they said they want to live there. So Todd and Kim both said that they would live there. So have there ever been any counts of any Indian type stuff? Or has it all just been like the consistent woman, girl, shadow, stuff like that?
Yeah, there's not been anything to do with Native Americans, no.
Interesting.
To my knowledge.
Right. Right. So, and I was saving this, but tell everybody what your husband found out after you guys purchased the house.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Kind of creepy. Right after we purchased it, we were in there cleaning it out and trying to figure out what we were going to do with it. It was a busy work day, and this older gentleman knocked at the door, and he introduced himself as a descendant of the Millard family, the first family that was deeded the property by William Penn. And we talked to him at length, showed him around the house. To thank us, he gave us a copy of all the deeds to our property. And my husband was looking through it and saw the Kirlin name, and he's like, well, that's a family name. So he gave it to his sister who does their genealogy, and here it is, my husband's family who lived there.
Isn't that crazy?
1796 through the late 1800s.
Which is insane to me. Like, I feel like that place was meant to be back in your family.
Yeah, we looked for about 5 years to buy a place, and either it would fall through, or we didn't have enough money to buy it, or wasn't big enough. We kept thinking, well, what about Cavadas? Because we knew it was in rough shape, and once the roof collapsed, we thought, well, maybe now we can afford it. So that's
your idea to buy it was to have paranormal investigations or Halloween tours or something.
Halloween, have different events. My husband and I used to do fundraising events for historic sites in Philly. And that's what we had thought to do in retirement, to give up doing the tours all over the place and concentrate closer to home with one site.
Right.
It just didn't work out as far as our events. It just we just didn't like how it was going with the house. It was really wrecking the house.
Yeah.
Well, if you were there when we mazed out that back room, I mean, that was just part of it. We even mazed part of the pillar room. So it just was wrecking the house. Anyway, so his great-great-great-grandfather, Eli Kirlin, was born upstairs in the old farmhouse section.
So cool.
And, yeah. Now, his family from this area, so it's not like totally out of the, in left field that this is so, but it's still pretty creepy.
It is, though. I mean, if you think about it, you guys had no idea that there was any connection. 5 years in the making of trying to find someplace without knowledge that his family owned this house. This great-great-great-grandfather was born in this house. You know what I mean? Like, and then this is the house you guys purchased, and you don't find out about it until after you have this house, that his family, I mean, to me, I think that is like,
it's creepy. His dad was a Kirlin, and that was his hangout place. He'd golf over at the golf course behind it, and then go there for drinks with his cronies after golfing. So it was always the place we went to have dinners, and then we ended up buying right down the street from it. It is weird.
It's awesome, actually. I think it's awesome. Todd's saying destiny, like, I mean, I think it's great, and I think it was meant to be, and have you guys both write books, or was it just you?
I have to say I helped, but he did write the books.
So he wrote the book.
He wrote the books, but I was there with him doing all the investigating, the research, the sitting in the libraries. I was the one, though, that we'd find these stories in the library on microfiche or whatever, that there was a murder or some type of odd death. I was the one who went and knocked on the door and said, have you ever had any odd experiences happen in this house? I had quite a few doors slammed in my face, thinking I was some kind of nut, but we did come up with some cool stuff, but he would not do that. That was not his thing. He was like, all right, Eileen, go do your thing. So I usually come up with some good stories. Now,
did he ever have experiences in the house?
He felt odd in the basement. He wasn't a real, even though he wrote all these books and all, he had never really had an experience. But he did say to me the basement did make him feel a little uncomfortable at times.
Mm.
And at one point he said he thought he saw the black shadow, but then he blew it off. He's like, no, I think it was just something else. Yeah, I don't think I saw it. So, but it wasn't like him to say that. So
Right.
Who knows?
And I know we've talked about this, but because it's in the family and this and that, like, you know, do you ever feel him at the house?
I don't feel him there. I feel him at home. I feel him here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good.
I feel him sometimes with me when I'm out and about.
Yeah.
So I like to think he's around.
Yeah. No, I think he is for sure.
Yeah.
So you do have events. I remember you having a Valentine. You had a Valentine event. And what is that? What do you guys do with that?
The Valentine tour at the lodge, we called it, I think that one was Love Never Dies. I think was our Valentine event, because we did Valentine events in down in Philly too. But anyway, it's more stories talking about the same ghosts, but the love lost mixed in with the ghost stories. And then we did one at New Year's Eve, Toast the Ghost.
Cute.
So that was kind of the same thing. It's our regular tour, but there was a toast afterwards.
Yeah.
Just something different to do for Valentine's Day, but it did well.
Now paranormal teams can rent to investigate, or can pay to investigate, or come out to investigate.
Yes.
Is there certain days or times, or, you know, I mean, how do you do this? Because it is a working brewery. I mean, it's an open brewery, right? So, I mean, you have to work around that, obviously.
Right. The brewery closes at 8 on Friday and Saturday nights, which is when most people want to do the investigations. So we usually start them around 8:30 because the staff is still cleaning up at that time. But they're usually done and out of there by around 9. And then the investigations can go to like 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you were there with us the last time.
Oh, I'm always there.
Yeah, I think you're a good little you know, a little trigger object there, you know,
I just love being there. I really do. I love this stuff. So,
and that's awesome. I love that you love it. I love that you're opening it, that it's open for people like myself and teams to come in and investigate. And it helps with the preservation of the home, you know. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, true investigators, the people that are really doing this for the passion and the, you know, they love to put the money out there for it to go back into the house for preservation. You know, that's the biggest thing that attracts me to places as yours. You know, the meaty history, you know, and I know you're not full of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I know you know, you aren't lying about anything. You aren't trying to just make money. You know, you're trying to preserve the house. And obviously, I mean, they were going to knock it down and you were like, no, we're not going to knock it down. You know, it's like, you know, so that's why I like to have people like yourself on, you know, and to promote your locations, because I want people to really be able to know that there's other locations out there that need our help, that need, you know, people to come in and help out a little bit, you know.
It's really sad when you see the big old places come down, because they can't build them like they used to.
Absolutely.
And our place is very simple. It's not a fancy place. As large as they built that back addition, it wasn't built fancy. It was very simple. And I guess that was probably the time it was built. At that time, they were doing away with all of the like the Victorian look with all the gingerbread and all that kind of stuff. It was beyond, or maybe it was around the time of the what do they call it? The mission style.
Mm-hmm.
a more simple line.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a lot of fancy stuff in the house. It was very simple.
Well, I don't know. That cedar whole floor up there that you got, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Now, we don't know who put that in. It had to be the Whitmans that did the cedar, because there's in the front of the house there are these poles up in the, I call them dog houses, but the little sections that stick out from a roof with the window.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they put gown racks in there.
Oh,
So it had to be to the time when women were wearing gowns.
yeah. I would live up there. We're all going to take a floor. I'm going to take the cedar room. I mean, it's nothing. It's all cedar. This room is all cedar and it's big. It's huge. And I love the couch that's up there, but I would take that. You know, Pete said Todd said he's going to take, I can't remember what floor. And Kim's like, I'll just live there. We're all going to live there. Well, I don't know what Gables is.
Oh, that's what those little things are up on the roof.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know what they were called. I call them dog houses because they look like little dog houses up there.
They do. That's cute. You're cute, Eileen. So the people that work there, is anybody afraid to be there?
Yeah.
And does anybody ever report anything during the day?
Yes. I had an experience during the day. I was touched major.
Oh.
Like it gave me such willies that I left, and it was in the middle of the day in the summertime. I was up on the second floor. But we have quite a few of the workers. They're afraid to go in the basement. They're afraid to go upstairs. They don't want to be there alone. And not that they've had experiences. They just don't feel comfortable in the building.
Interesting. I mean,
and these are grown men. It's not just like the young girls we have working there. These are grown men. And is this big guy that he's like, nope, don't want to be there. Don't want to be there by myself.
And they're not into the paranormal, right? They were just there to work. And
yes, they're there for the brewery. We do have 3 tour guides that do the tours for us. The one is very new, but the other 2 have had experiences there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so the little girl, you say she's seen in the hallway.
In the hallway, all 3 floors.
All 3 floors. Is it the old part of the house? Is it?
No, it's in the 1910 edition. The big staircase.
Interesting.
Yeah. The old woman was seen. She hasn't been seen lately, but she would always be seen out in the large bar area where you usually sit at the bar.
Uh-huh.
She would be seen out there.
That's newer, correct?
It is newer, but it used to be a covered porch.
Oh, okay.
There. And she approaches the door to the farmhouse. There's in the pillar room, I don't know if you remember, underneath the stairs, there's a door that looks like it goes to the outside. It's a glass door, but we have it covered with a sliding barn door on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing my hand move. Yes, it slides. That door used to go out onto the porch.
Okay.
So she's seen kind of coming diagonal as if she was walking across the porch into that, and she disappears at that door.
Interesting. So almost as if she was coming from off the porch to come back into the house.
Yeah, and that would be the error of Elmira Kirlin.
Oh, interesting.
So, and she did die in the house.
Right.
So, it's just a guess, of course, but could it be Elmira that's haunting there? Then there's a man that's seen. Some people say it looks like a soldier, but that was back in Kavada's time. We haven't had anybody report that. But a lot of women say they get touched. And according to Don Galloway, he named that spirit Dapper Dan because he liked the ladies and he would fondle them.
Oh.
So we have had people say they get touched, which I did get touched.
Yeah.
But yeah, so who knows? Maybe it was Dapper Dan. I don't know.
I don't mean to embarrass
you. It was not appropriate, no.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say,
up my back and through my hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got chills.
It was, I'll tell you what, it was creepy. Because it was not just this, did I just feel that? No, I was bent over when it happened. And it made me stand up straight and I was out of there. Yeah.
So it literally felt like somebody's hand was going up your back and into your,
and through the back of my hair.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was cool, but I didn't think so at the time. It scared me.
And that's never happened.
And then after it happens, you want it to happen again.
Right.
It's like,
I was going to say,
do it again.
Yeah, do it again. And then now, I always want to say this the wrong way, probably, but Caleb died in the house as well. So we have two. Is it just only the two deaths in the house?
We know that there was the suicide in the basement.
Oh yeah, the suicide in the basement. I forgot about
Charles Dodderer.
And do we know who that is?
Charles Dodderer.
Okay. Now, was he a resident?
He was a handyman. He worked at a farm up the road, and the farmer closed down his operation. So Caleb hired him as a handyman. And supposedly he had like a little sleeping area in the basement, but Caleb found him hanging. He had hung himself downstairs.
And was there any record as to why? Like,
why
would he do
that? Somewhere it was said that he was distraught over the drowning death of his daughter. Oh. I don't know where that comes from. I couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay.
So
why would he think his place of business?
The really weird thing I found recently, Caleb had used to have Mineral Springs Inn up in Reading. And I found a newspaper article. It didn't say what restaurant it was, but Caleb found a suicide victim. And then he found a suicide victim at the lodge, which I thought was weird.
That is weird.
Caleb, what were you up to?
Yeah.
But I mean,
but there was also other weird history involved with this, right? When we were investigating, I can't remember what it was tied to, but there was supposedly some weird disappearance of a wife, and then there was
yes, he was married to Ruth. We do not know what
Caleb, right? We're talking about Caleb.
Caleb was married to Ruth. We don't know what happened to Ruth. We found an article, and somebody had asked him where his wife was, and he said he had to take care of her. So I don't know if that meant did he institutionalize her, or did he pay her off to? We don't know. We don't know what happened. But he was living there with a woman named Lillian Moore. But in between his wife and Lillian, what was her name? It'll come to me. There was another woman who lived at the lodge with Caleb, and evidently he promised to marry her if she got a divorce. So he paid for her divorce, but then he brought Lillian into the house and kicked, what was her name?
Oh my gosh, he sounds like a real...
So he kicked her out, and she sued him for $25,000. I'm not sure if she won or not, but she did sue him for $25,000 because she divorced her husband and with the promise of marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, so Mary's saying, I wonder if Caleb drove people to it, to like commit suicide and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He sounds like the type of person, that some people are cool. Yeah. I mean, he sounds like the type of person, like if he wanted something,
he went for it.
He went for it and didn't care what he had to do to get it.
Well, according to folks that we spoke with, he was a gentleman, treated the women who worked there very well. He was a Quaker, yet he served in 2 world wars and had a brothel. So, and a speakeasy during Prohibition. So who knows?
Yeah. It doesn't, nothing matches up with him, right?
My feeling is he had to be connected. I mean, when you're looking at Prohibition in Reading, it was pretty darn crooked, for lack of a better word. The mob was there, and he had to have some kind of connections to be able to open a high-end gentleman's club during Prohibition. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So maybe he was involved in that whole scenario. Who knows?
It's strange that a guy would commit suicide in the place that he works. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, in that way. I mean, like, if he's distraught over his daughter, like, you'd think, like, he either home or where it happened, or do you know what I'm saying? Like, why of all places would he choose the basement of where he was working?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, it is creepy down there. In fact, we've quite a few people that we've spoken with. They said, "Oh, I used to work at Cavada's, and they used to make me go into the basement because they had coolers in the basement where they kept alcohol. Their beer coolers and stuff like that were in the basement, and I think they had an ice machine down there or something. And so they'd always send the young people down to go into the basement. Or like,
we didn't go in the basement, did we?
I don't remember.
I don't think
we used to. I used to take tours and everything down into the basement, but when they demolished the inside of the barn to build the brewery over in the barn, a lot of the stuff that we had stored in the barn got moved into the basement. So it's a mess down there.
Okay, but wait, you said the upstairs is a mess, and your mess is very clean to me. You say it's a mess, but it is not a mess at all.
Muddy because it has a cement floor, but whenever it rains, we have little rivulets going through the basement, and sometimes it gets pretty darn wet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it's icky down there.
But we don't care. We go into places that are like there's like abandoned asylums and shit everywhere. Like, you have no idea some of the places we've been in. You know what I mean? Like, so we put shit kickers on, and we just we do it. That's what we're there to do, is investigate. So the next time we come,
you want to go in the basement?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Todd's asking, what was the story about the black X? The story about the girl in the creepy doll room. But the creepy doll room. That story is insane.
The battle axes. The back in the mid 1800s, there was a sex cult. It was a charlatan from Philadelphia, came to Berks County here with a prostitute. And they started a sex cult called the Battle Axes of Free Love Valley. The Battle Axes, but the whole area around the lodge back, my sense of direction is poor. I want to say southeast. I'm not sure. Behind the lodge was considered the Free Love Valley. And they pretty much turned a German farming religious community on its ear. Broke up marriages, what have you, but it was free. It was all about free love. And then that's what those dolls are, characters representing characters of that event that took place. But it is a true event. You can Google it. It's a story you can't make up. It ended up, a woman was murdered in her own bed with an axe she kept under her bed. Hannah Schenkel, whose house still stands. It's right across the street from Schenkel Church. But anyway, we tell the story of the battle axes on some of our tours, and we don't know if Elmira participated or not, but she was a teenager living at the lodge when that event happened. So we wonder if they got involved somehow. Her family, based on where they're buried, were not involved. The people who were for the battle axes were buried in one church cemetery, and those fort were in one, and against it were in another. But maybe she got involved somehow as a teenager. We don't know, of course. But in any case, a gentleman got a picture on one of the tours.
Okay, I got that
You
picture.
have that.
Yeah.
And it was 3 children,
All
or
right,
a girl, a boy, and a baby.
all right, let me see if I can do this right. Hold on. I am going to share my screen, but hold on. Share screen. I think I got to select. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this right. I don't want to share that. Hold on one second. Hold on. Am I still there? Can you still see me?
Yeah, you're still there.
All right. Hold on. I have this picture. Here it is. All right. And let me blow this up. You can still see me, right?
Yep.
All right. Hold on. Why is this taking forever to pop up? Because this picture is really interesting. All right, there it is. Now let me just make it bigger so everybody can see it. I had shared this on somewhere, and somebody was like, you know, oh, that looks like a person, but if they saw the other side of the room, it's impossible for it to be a person. All right, here we go. Present, share screen. I had to pull that up first. Hold on. Here it is. Share. Can you guys see that, or do you see me?
We can see the picture.
All right. Can you see me or no?
No.
I don't know if we can see you, but I don't know how to zoom in on this. Oh, here it is. I'm going to zoom this in. So this is a picture in the mirror. If you guys can see right here. Can you see my hand on here?
Yep.
It's right here. Now, when you look at the other side, this is like in between the bed and stuff. This is a really creepy picture to me because I can, on the other side, there's nothing there. Nothing there. And it almost looks like right here is a woman, and right here is like another child. Almost. But I do see this here.
Yeah, that you can see in what you're showing now.
Yeah.
You can't see the faces or anything. And the faces are the creepy thing. The look on their faces. It's
like all this whole thing right here. Now this is in like it's hard to show. I wish I had a picture of the other side of it because there's nothing there. People are like, oh, it's one of those dolls. No, it's not, because it's off the bed. It's not. It's kind of blocking out some of the armoire, isn't it? I mean, yeah, it's creepy. It's a creepy picture. And definitely whatever is
definitely
there.
No explanation for what it is.
Right. All right, so let me get out of here.
And I'm the first to,
there we go.
Debug any picture. I'm the, I looked at the picture. I said, okay, well, let's go back in the room and see what's on that wall, thinking maybe the plaster was peeling, that would have projected some type of image or a shadow of some sort, but it was just a plain wall. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there. And that is like, that's like that picture. When you showed me that picture, I was like, oh.
Well, that's the one medium that we had come through was recommended by a local historian. It was an elderly gentleman, and she said he is never wrong. When he got to that room, he refused to go in. He said, I can't go in that room. He said, anguish is unbearable. So we took him out and sat him down and, said, what are you feeling? And he said, well, it's a woman, and I'm coming up with the name of either E or A. Well, that was probably Elmira's bedroom. There were only 2 bedrooms upstairs.
Okay.
And Elmira has both E and A in it. He said she had problems with her legs, which we do know that Elmira had some kind of difficulties with her legs, which isn't documented anywhere for him to know that, at least at the time. And he said she had a miscarriage in that room.
Oh, wow.
But he said it's just, there's a very, very sad woman in that room.
Aww.
According to Gavadas, they used to see a woman in that room. We have yet to see a woman. But is that the largest figure in that picture? Is that the woman?
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying, yeah, like, I agree. Like, is it the woman? Yeah. I mean, it looks like a woman to me.
It looks like a female.
Yeah.
And I think the other face looks like a boy.
Yeah.
And then it looks like
and looks like what?
An infant right next to them.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It is definitely an interesting photo. And like I said, there's nothing on the other side that would give that nothing on the other side that gives that look. I've been there and I've taken pictures of both sides to try to recreate or try to make it look something like that. You know, even to play devil's advocate for the people that are like, it's the dolls. I mean, I literally took a doll and I put it on the edge of the bed. You can tell that that's a doll. You know what I mean? Like, it looks nothing like what the picture looks like.
They'd have to see the dolls.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't look like the dolls.
It does not look like the dolls. But it doesn't look like a doll either. Like
any kind of doll.
I mean, I even tried to see if I could fit my body in and to see if my body would look like be able to sit there and be where she's, you know, where the head is and this, that, and you can't without knocking something over or block, you know what I mean? Like you can't get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good picture. Now all the dolls have black beady. Yeah, beady. I think you mean beady, not Petey. Todd. So where do people go? I know we'll have a couple minutes left. Surprisingly, I mean, this went really fast because, but where can people go to book an investigation with you? And if you don't mind, like, you know, how much does it cost for people to do that? You know, I mean, just to let people know what they're, you know, what they have to do.
They can email us at brintonlodge.com.
Mm-hmm.
They go to that website and there's a link there. They can email us. And it's, like I said, it's usually 8:30 till 1:30. And it's $300 and that's good for up to 10 people.
Awesome. Now, I know you don't offer overnights, but I do want to do an overnight there, Eileen.
Actually, the two tour guides, they're like, please, can we sleep over? Please, can we sleep over?
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
We did do a sleepover there with them. And I think it was a very calm night. I slept in the middle bar. I ended up laying down on that couch and I slept very soundly.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, to me, it's, you just never know when something is going to happen. Some days I go in there and I'm uncomfortable.
Right. Everybody says they're in for the sleepover. Yeah. Todd said he's in. Kim said she's in. I'm in for sure.
But you don't sleep.
We probably won't sleep. But that's, you know, it's definitely something that, you know, we could do. I mean, it would be cool. I mean, we could go live. We could do a whole bunch of stuff to try to like promote Brinton Lodge and you know, have people say, you know, I think it's great what you're doing. And I want to thank you so much for opening your doors for, you know, groups and stuff like that out there to come in and investigate. It's a great opportunity too for, you know, groups that are training people to investigate. It's a great location for that. You know, there's nothing negative there. There's nothing there that's like, you know, anything like that. It's a very, you almost feel like it's very welcoming and you almost feel like I wanted to like put on period clothing and kind of just, you know, see if, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to like join whatever, you know, was happening there, you know? which would be a cool experiment.
The one haunted event we did, I guess it was like a Halloween party. It was the Roaring Twenties, so everybody was dressed up in the zoot
Oh,
suits
that's
and
cool.
flapper dresses, and yeah, it
Oh,
was
that's
really
cool.
cool.
That sounds cool. I would love to do something like that. That sounds fun. Well, that being said, we've hit an hour, and I want to thank you, Eileen, for your time
Oh, well, thank
coming.
you.
Next time we do this, we should do this. You had mentioned this to me on text. You thought I was coming there to do the show, and I'm like, great idea. So the next time we
Yeah,
want to,
I'm
next
game.
time we should, I'll come to Brinton Lodge. I'll go live. We'll walk everybody through, and maybe we'll sit down and try to talk to Elmira or Caleb, or and see if we get anything while we're live and everything. I mean, I think that's a great idea. I love it.
Okay, I'm game.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, good night, you beautiful woman.
Thank you,
Thank you
Tara.
so much. I love you. I love Brinton Lodge, and I hope people, reach out. $300 is not bad, especially if you do have 10 people. I mean, it's $30 a person. And to investigate such a great location. I mean, you guys, people would be stupid not to check it out. It's a great place. So I want to thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you.
and hopefully in the future we can have you on again, maybe before one of your events, or maybe we could even go live during one of your events, like either the Valentine's thing or something like that, just to show people kind of like, what goes on.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have a great night.
Good. Sleep tight tonight.
Oh, I will. You too.
All righty.
All right. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
And I want to thank everybody for coming on. Thank you so much. Please go check out Brinton Lodge, BrintonLodge.com. If you want to do an investigation, just email them. Like she says, $300, and that's for up to 10 people. And, you're there from 8:30 to 1:30. It's a great location. You will not be disappointed, I promise. So with that being said, I am going to check out. I hope to see you guys again next week. I have a couple of good shows coming up. I have Tim Shaw coming up soon. I've really dedicated the next couple of months to locations and locations owners and stuff like that. So I hope you guys check it out. But until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace.